Former Vice President Pence's new book, So Help Me God, had many revelations about his relationship with former President Trump, as you heard there at the start of our interview. But we also spoke with him about several other topics, including civility and the results of this year's midterms. Here's more of our interview now with the former VP.
Dan, when I look at the 2022 midterm elections, there's one common denominator, and that is that Republican candidates that were focused on the future. They were focused on the challenges that are facing the American people, the high cost of living, high gasoline prices, a crisis at our border, crime in our streets. Candidates focused on the future did very well. But conversely, candidates that were focused on the past, particularly those that were seeking to relitigate the last election, did not fare as well. So I think the first object of the new Republican majority in the Congress is to step forward and articulate a vision for the future, solutions that are grounded in the policies that we proved work to make America stronger and more secure during the Trump-Pence administration. I really do believe that the American people are looking for leadership that can unite us around our highest ideals and demonstrate the kind of respect and civility for one another that the American people show every day.
But sadly, in these divided times, we've also seen political violence along the lines of what we saw on January 6th, but we've also seen violence directed at specific groups of people, whether that be anti-Semitic violence or the shooting at the AME Church in South Carolina or the shooting this past weekend that targeted members of the LGBT community in Colorado. How much blame belongs to the political discourse in this country for inspiring some of these hateful attacks?
I think we want to be very careful about associating acts of mindless violence like what took place in Colorado Springs in the LGBT community to the public debate. I mean that.
But other elements of that public debate, that discourse that inspire people who aren't.
I remember the congressional baseball game I write about in So Help Me God. My dear friend Steve Scalise was almost killed by a gunman who was a supporter of Bernie Sanders and inspired by his political rhetoric. Look, we've got to protect freedom of speech in this country, but I do believe that a side benefit of restoring more civility to public life would be strengthening the ties in our culture. But at the end of the day, we've got to continue to stand strong against anyone, left, right, or center, that would use violence to advance their views. It's utterly unacceptable, whether it was the 500 riots that took place in 2020, the riot at our nation's capital, or the unspeakable acts of violence that we witnessed again this week and that we witnessed at churches and schools over the years.
Well, and you wrote about Charlottesville in your book as well, and how discouraging that was. How do we move forward from events like that as a country?
I think we need leadership. I really do. And leadership that represents that we're all Americans. It recognizes, as I've learned in critical moments, that politics does fall away. In So Help Me God, I write about having been on Capitol Hill on September 11th and found myself as a freshman member of Congress swept up into the very office where the leadership of the Congress was gathered, Republicans and Democrats. I was there, Dan, when the Sergeant-at-Arms of the Congress said that there's an aircraft inbound to the Capitol and it's 12 minutes out. I write about looking out the window and looking at the Capitol dome and wondering if it was the last time that historic symbol of democracy would grace the skies of our nation's capital. But in that moment, after the danger had passed, I saw unity. And I write about it in So Help Me God. I said, at that moment, there were no Republicans in the room, there were no Democrats in the room, there were just Americans. And people rolled their sleeves up, threw jackets over chairs, got out yellow pads and started figuring out how we could work together to marshal the national response to respond to the worst terrorist attack in our nation in history. It's all still there. When it matters most, Americans come together.
What will the holidays be like for your family this year? You all chose to move back here to Indiana. Why was that important for you to be back here in the Hoosier State?
Well, it was the first decision Karen and I made when the election settled out, was that we didn't know what the future holds, but we figured we could see it better in Indiana. You know, Indiana's home. We literally haven't had our whole family together in 3 years, and so this Christmas all by itself is going to be special. Our granddaughter will be with us with 2 more on the way, and but we're also going to take time, Dan, as I've said, to reflect. My wife is my closest friend in the world, the love of my life, and our kids know their dad the best, and so we're going to take some time to talk about the future. Karen and I will also be talking with friends, and we'll give prayerful consideration to where we might next serve, and sometime after the first of the year, we'll make a decision about what's next for Mike and Karen Pence.
That's the timeline in the next calendar year?
I think so. I think it would have to be, and but as I said, we'll go where we're called. I've been traveling all over the country the last 2 years, and I know as challenging as these times are, that with right leadership, we can get this country turned around. And we can help bring this country together. And if we sense that we have a role to play in that, we'll do what we've always done, and that is step out in faith and trust the Lord and the American people for the rest.
Vice President Pence, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan.